This is Have You Met? My guest today is a zoologist, marine biologist, and TV presenter. She used to present DiveLive underwater and now hosts live African safaris twice daily on WildEarth YouTube. We talk about her hair-raising close encounters with both lions and elephants, her rescuing of a terrapin, and the tragic shooting of a leopard. Recently, she travelled to Ethiopia in hope of sighting the incredibly rare and endangered Ethiopian wolf, and is now an official WWF Voices ambassador. Have you met Lauren Arthur? So you're from Scotland. So tell me, like, how this all came about. Like, let's go first of all specifically. When and how did you realize you were like an animal lover? Was that like was there a moment?
Forever, as long as I can remember. I grew up on the east coast of Scotland, which actually has a lot of beaches, believe it or not. It's very sort of oceanic. So it's cold, yes, it's the North Sea, but it's very beachy. So we had a caravan there, one of these luxury, big, huge caravans, and we spent all our holidays and vacations there. So I was brought up by the sea, and we used to go rock pooling. Whales and sharks used to wash up on the beach. We would go diving and snorkeling and bodyboarding. I don't know if I would do that now. I like warmer waters now. So I think I was just always brought up in a huge family of dogs. You know, everybody had dogs. And I remember one day I was very, very young, and my mom served me fish on the plate to eat for dinner. And I remember saying, "Mom, this isn't the same fish that comes from the sea." And it's probably my mom's fault, because she actually said, no, it's different fish. You're 5 years old and you think, oh, okay, I feel better. I'm not eating the fish from the sea. Of course I was. But ever since a really young child, I've had issues with eating animals, and that's my own personal thing. I've always been an animal obsessive. I probably would say I'm better with animals than I am with humans, to be honest. They've been my life. I've dedicated everything to animals, be it land, be it ocean. I've sacrificed a lot, and I just believe in general that's my calling. And I think it was just growing up on the beach and constantly being surrounded by them.
And your dogs. That's
and
amazing.
The dogs can teach you so much. My goodness.
Were you in the mainland of Scotland, or were you on one of the little islands?
No. I'm from Edinburgh. But it's actually.
Oh, you're from Edinburgh?
I'm from Edinburgh, but I mean, 20 minutes from my house is the beach. You know.
Oh, okay.
So I think I blame that, really. I mean, no one else in my family is necessarily big on animals as I am. So I think it's probably just grown up on the coast.
That's weird that nobody else in your family is like an animal nut as well. Like,
I mean, they all like animals, but not.
Or are they?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So they're like, for a normal person, they're an animal lover, but then there's you, the kind of next level evolution of that.
That's the one.
Yeah, because I've seen quite a lot of you on YouTube and stuff, and you do go above and beyond. You do like.
I think with the animal kingdom, there's no point in pretending that you know everything, really. I mean, these people that say, no, you don't. You've really got to spend time with animals. You've got to observe them. And it's only once you start really homing in and learning about these organisms, it literally blows my mind. You know, I'm studying insects quite extensively now. And every day I'm just reading about them, and I'm just thinking, wow, you know, how did more people not know this? How these creatures live their lives? And I just find it so mind-blowing. And I think that's what keeps me going every single day, that I'm like, I'm stumped, you know, I'm learning something new every single day. And I think that's the joy of what I do, really.
Yeah. And you spend every day in the like African bush, which must be I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous.
I mean, it's hard. It's not easy. It's really not easy. I know people, makes it look very easy. It's not, but I guess that's what I love about it. You know, we really do have our challenges out here.
Yeah.
But you just see the most incredible things, and you get to know these animals. And whether that's a good thing, whether that's a bad thing, you really get to know these animals.
I'm sure it comes both sides, right? I'm sure you get attached to an animal that then can just disappear or get injured or, whatnot.
That's the hard
have a sad
part.
time. Yeah, I bet. Which are your favorite animals? Like, both in terms of overall species and in terms of like the ones you've named. Because I know you named them.
I mean, talking about on land, I mean, in the ocean, I would probably say it's manta rays. Yeah, I did so much work on manta rays. We named the
Yeah.
manta rays, we ID'd the manta rays, we rescued them, and turtles. I know they're the charismatic species, but yeah, I really, really developed a lot of bonds with mantas and turtles, believe it or not. But I think on land, here in South Africa, it's the hyenas.
And you're not the biggest fan of lions? I heard you say that somewhere.
Oh, I'm probably not supposed to say it. No, I love lions and I admire them. I think you just form an attachment to different animals out here. I mean, one of my colleagues, his name is
Yeah.
Tristan, he's so into leopards. You know, the leopards are his life. I would say I'm the hyena girl, and then we've got some people that are the lion people. And I mean, you know, we've all got different sort of specialities. And lions are just not the most exciting species
No,
for me.
yeah, they lie down a lot, and
They lie down a
yeah,
lot. Yes.
which is fine.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to lie down that much. But yeah, lions are definitely not my first port of
It's like my
call.
historic kind of childhood favorite animal, but I'll let you off. I can deal with it. I love leopards and
Especially
hyenas.
after the Lion King.
Exactly, I love that film. You're gonna have to tell me about. Right, so I watched on YouTube your lion, one of your, I'm assuming one of your close lion encounters, right? The one where you're sitting in the Jeep or the truck, whatever it is, and you're in the front seat. Your legs are like basically hanging out of the open door. No, not the open door. The low door.
There's no door.
Oh, there's no door? Okay, so you're hanging out of the gap where a door would normally be if you want to protect yourself from wild animals. But your legs are hanging out of there. The lions, a lot of lions, are walking right next to you. Like, I mean, right next to you. Like, they could just swipe you and give you a tap on the leg.
Yeah, I think we forget that. I'm based in an area called the Sabi Sands, and
Yeah,
they actually have this thing that they call the Sabi Sands complacency syndrome. Because what happens is, because the animals are so habituated here compared to any other area, that you start to
yeah,
forget that, not intentionally, but you start to forget, you know, this is a wild animal. And of course, it's a
yeah,
wild animal. You would never do anything stupid. But you do have these moments when the animals get very close to the car that you just think, crap. You know,
yeah,
lions are so much bigger than they look on TV. They are really, really big, so much bigger than a
yeah,
leopard. And, you know, you see this powerful body of muscle walking past the car, and you think, wow, you know, and it's a nice reminder that you are a visitor in this environment. You know, your heart pumps, and but you do, I mean, all the animals are just so habituated, and it is a case that sometimes you really do need to slap yourself and just remember that, you know, that it's a wild environment. You
mm,
are a visitor. But yeah, there's some scary moments, and this is not the clip that you're referring to, but we had one moment at nighttime when it got dark. We used to do a lot of nocturnal filming using infrared lights and FLIR cameras, and I parked next to a fallen over tree, and I just drove the car into the tree, thinking, "Ugh, you know, we'll be fine. I'll reverse." And the lions heard a noise. So most of the pride jumped onto the tree, the fallen over tree, to
oh,
have a look at what the noise was. But the rest of the pride thought, and they jumped onto the bonnet of the car.
oh my,
So that
really?
was really a hard. They weren't looking at us. They weren't even, you know, acknowledging us. They were aware of the car. They know what the cars are, but they were obviously trying to see where the noise was coming from. And because there was no room left on that fallen over tree, they just jumped onto the bonnet of the car. And that was
Wow.
a pretty surreal experience.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, I can see from watching you that you're a consummate professional, but in those moments, right, you must be just freaking out inside. Even if on the
Of course.
outside you're able to keep it cool and talk calmly and carry on doing what you're doing to, keep them at ease and not do anything sudden, but I know on the inside you must be like, oh my God, there's a lion right there. Like,
100%.
and like you said, they're wild, you know.
Yeah, I think if your heart wasn't pumping, you know, then there's something wrong. I mean, even with elephants and rhinos and buffalo, you've
Yeah,
really got to be careful of so many things out there. Um, I mean, we are trained, but to be perfectly honest, it comes from experience. You know, you've got to experience these moments to then realize how to handle it better or how
yeah,
to do it differently in the future. But yeah, your
yeah,
heart pumps like nothing else. You
yeah.
just don't
I
show
bet.
it.
I could feel it coming through you in that clip, but I mean, you don't show it, but I can feel like the tension and like the fact that you're purposely just trying to stay cool. Because I'm going to encourage everybody to watch that. I'm going to put the link to that in the description because it's just a crazy little clip. Even if, like you say, they're incredibly habituated and they're super used to the vehicles, it's still like even in Longleat, that would be pretty wild. That would be pretty dangerous. Oh. So yeah,
I mean, they're habituated, but their mind could change at any moment. You know, they're a wild animal.
Exactly. If something external, if an elephant charges out of a few bushes and scares them, and then you at the same moment it scares you and you react, and even with a domesticated dog, that's how I feel, is that something can surprise them from over there. And all of a sudden, they're going to react to that, and they might attack, or not attack in a savage way, but might snap at something much closer that they don't want to snap at. You know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we call that out here displacement aggression. You know, and it happens commonly in elephants where they're angry at something. You know, they've maybe seen a lion or they can smell a lion. They're really upset. You know, they're trying to protect their herd and their youngsters, and then you come up. So they're not angry at you. You haven't actually done anything wrong, but they displace their anger and their aggression on you, and that's a worrying thing. You have to be very, very aware of that, conscious of that.
Yeah, that's like me. That's I'm angry at the world. No. Tell me about your elephant close encounter, because I watched that as well. Like you've probably had more than one, but the specific one I watched is just a crazy 5 minutes where they're just not a whole herd maybe, but there's a handful of elephants coming right past you. I think at one point a big bull male comes right next to your car.
I was actually more freaked out about the elephants because you have to make a decision in the moment, and the biggest thing for me is commit to your decision. Don't change your mind. If you've committed to go, then go. You know, just like driving a car and racing the traffic lights. You know, once you commit. And it was last Christmas, not the Christmas just been the one before. So it's summer here in South Africa, and elephants are just everywhere. And we had one herd that we were following, and they were actually just crossing the road in front of us. So we were positioned really far back, just getting lovely views. But what happened was they actually bumped into another herd. So there wasn't really aggression, but there was a bit of a sort of panic, and they completely changed their direction. They completely changed their plan and came towards the vehicle. So at that moment, I thought, if I start to turn on my engine in reverse, it's a really bumpy, dangerous road. I just think it's better in this scenario just to stay still. The elephants know we're there. And if they choose to come close. So they completely surrounded the car. I've never been that close. I mean, I literally could have just put out my hand and touched one, which I would never do.
Yeah.
My heart was racing, and it was one of the best sightings I've ever had. But then all of a sudden, this huge bull, and he's in must. Must is the sort of state elephants get into when they're ready to mate, and their testosterone increases, so they become really aggressive. And I just see this huge bull walking towards us. And at that moment, I thought, oh no, I'm live. The camera's on me. The world can see this huge bull. And my heart did really start racing. I was scared then. I knew how to handle it, but I was also scared. And he came right to the vehicle. He checked us out, but luckily there was a female cow in the vicinity who was clearly attracting his attention. Oh, really? She obviously was in estrus, and he thought, so luckily his attention was diverted from us to this lady. But that was a heart-stopping moment. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, it was crazy. So do you think if it wasn't for the well-placed female that you would have been in a little bit more, I'm not going to say in like big trouble, but in a bit more, of an awkward situation? Could he have started like pushing the car or something like that? Or
I don't think he would have pushed the car. He could have got a bit boisterous. Male elephants are known sort of, they posture and they show off and they try to make themselves look really big, which is crazy because they are already really big. But most sort of accidents happen out here with females. It's the cows. Right. It's the cows, especially the ones that have got calves. They are the ones that unfortunately cause accidents mostly across South Africa.
Yeah. So have you ever had any other like scarily close encounters, let's call them, with any animals out there? Or
I have an elephant actually on foot. So the WildEarth safaris that you see now, they're all vehicle based, but just a year ago we actually did one feed on foot. So
Wow.
you have a cameraman with obviously a mobile camera, and you were on foot presenting live exactly what we do now, but you're on foot. But we also have a game scout with us, and he's the one that carries the gun. And that's a whole different ball game. I mean, that is a really different thing from just driving a vehicle. And we were following this elephant bull in winter, and he was younger, so the younger ones tend to be full of testosterone and they don't know what to do with it, and they just get really boisterous. It's not really aggression, it's more just boisterous. I'm going to show you that I'm a boy.
Yeah.
And yeah, he charged us while we were on foot. We were up a termite mound. You should always gain height advantage. And it was fine. It was controlled. It was contained. You know, nothing bad happened, but it was scary.
Yeah. How close did he come? How close did he stop his charge?
About a meter away.
No way, really? Oh
yeah, I mean, maybe a meter and a half
crazy.
at most. Yeah, but we were up at the termite.
You were up a termite. So how high was the termite mound? That can't be more than like a meter or two.
I mean, we were maybe 2 meters off the ground. It wasn't the largest termite mound, but yeah, that was a heart-stopping moment. And he didn't have any intention to hurt us. I don't believe that. No. But yeah, he was showing us who's boss, and he is the boss at the end of the day. So that was pretty scary.
Yeah, that's something. Is that your scariest, most heart-stopping moment out there then?
Probably, but we were in safe hands. We were with one of the best game scouts I've ever met in my entire life, and a great friend of mine still to this day. So we were in safe hands, but it was a very scary moment, I would say. Yeah,
I mean, I'm kind of scared just like listening to it and watching them on the TV and stuff. Yeah, it's something. But let's go back a bit. Like, so how did you go from, you know, your studies and all that kind of thing and deciding what you wanted to do to then, was marine biology the first thing, or was it zoology?
Zoology, yeah.
Let's kind of go through that little period and how you came from you know, a young adult to doing diving and live dives for YouTube.
Oh, you know, I went to university, Glasgow University, when I was so young. I was 17. And now that I think back, I mean, that is a very, you know, you're not even legal to drink in Scotland at that age. You know, obviously you did drink, but
sorry to interrupt, but how did you go a bit earlier? Was it just like because of your young age, or were you extra clever?
No, unfortunately not. I think it's just the curriculum in Scotland. You do 4 years at uni in Scotland and 3 in England. So I think it's just the curriculum and where my birthday sat in the year. I ended up being one of the younger ones. But, you know, in hindsight, 17's young. It's so young. I was such a baby, but I knew I wanted to study zoology. Great 4 years, best 4 years of my life. Probably partied more than studied, which is, you know, that's what university is all about. I ended up going to the Amazon as part of an incredible field trip.
At university, wow.
Yeah, it was an incredible field trip.
How long did you go there for?
I think 3-4 weeks. I was based in the Amazon, and I mean the heart of the Ecuadorian Amazon. You know, it wasn't just on the outskirts or on the sort of tributaries. It was right in the Amazon. And that's an experience I'll never forget. But I think deep inside of me, I always knew that I really wanted to study the ocean. That was my calling.
Because of the whales and sharks in Scotland.
Yeah, just obsessed with the ocean, you know.
Yeah. I can understand it. I love the ocean too. My dad's loved the ocean. I love the ocean. It's like, it's in our blood, if you want to say it like that. It's scary.
The ocean scares me.
Yeah.
But I think that's my draw to it, you know.
Yeah.
So I decided to take a year out, and I went to Fiji, and I did just a program there, you know, a marine conservation program. And that's when I did all my diving. So I studied my PADI, open water, then advanced open water, then rescue, and all the different levels. And I became a diver. And I saw my first manta ray, fell in love, and just had the best time. So I decided that I wasn't quite done. I went back to uni, and I studied tropical coastal management. It's marine biology, but with more of a sort of multi-dimensional approach, you know, bringing in politics and socioeconomics and bringing in everything.
Real world stuff.
Yeah. And then after that, for my thesis, I got asked to go to the Maldives and study whale sharks. So of course I did that for my thesis. But
okay,
I'll do that.
If I have to.
It was more of a socio-economic study, it was all about people's perception of the whale sharks. And then while I was in Maldives, I just met the right people. I networked. I had, again, the best time, loved it so much. And once I finished my master's, I just got an email saying, do you want to come and work for us in Maldives? And I said, absolutely. Stayed there for 8 years and ended up having an incredible career as a marine biologist and really experiencing some things that, I just know that is a once in a lifetime experience. And then that's when WildEarth, which is obviously the company I work for now, they found me and they were basically doing something called DiveLive. So right now I was working, well, it used to be called Safari Live. So we're driving the safaris and it's live, but we did DiveLive for a sort of pilot program. They wanted an expert marine biologist in who could dive and has lots of experience. So they flew me over to the Caribbean and I did that. I did live dives.
Is that not surreal to like talk about? It's just crazy to think that that was your job for a while, talking,
it was.
like answering questions from people and being a nature presenter, an animal presenter, underwater, live. Like, that's crazy.
It was crazy. I would say diving is one of these things that anyone can dive, but in order to be a good diver, you really need to practice. I mean, I was a terrible diver for years, and it isn't until you dive, you really start to become, a good proficient diver. But I'd never experienced talking underwater. Not only are you consuming oxygen, it's challenging. I mean, you rinse through your air. You've got a tank. You've got, over 100 bar, 110 bar, and you just rinse through your air because you're talking, your oxygen. So I mean, that's a huge challenge. There was so many challenges. Water and technology don't exactly mix very well. We busted a few cameras, we destroyed a lot of equipment, but it was a great pilot project. And then once that ended, I just went home. I actually went to live in Malaysia for a little while, and I just got a call saying, although you're more of a marine biologist, you did study zoology, you have got that sort of foundation, we'd really like to invite you over to the bush and see if you would like to present on land. And immediately I just thought, no. Like, no, I'm an ocean person. But then I thought this is a chance for me to go meet more people from the company that I've heard about, David being one of them. And just getting
I assume
experience.
You'd heard good things about David at that point, or
and then I just came over here. I didn't like it at first. It was in October, the day after my birthday, and it was cold, it was winter, it was barren. We go through 2 really drastic seasons here. It's not green, it's not lush, there's and I thought, I don't like this. I felt so out of my comfort zone. I didn't know anything, whereas I'm normally so used to having all this knowledge. But then I realized that that's actually why I'm here, because I don't know anything. So I'm back at square one again to learn, to have a challenge, and now I'm almost 3 years guiding in the African bush, which is just incredible to think that I've actually made it this far.
It is amazing. And if you watch, like, obviously if you watch you, it sounds weird. If somebody watches you, they're going to think that you've been doing that your whole life, or at least longer than you have. Like, you seem completely natural out there, you seem completely at home. And I really mean that. Like, you seem like you've lived there, 10, 20 years, any amount of time, since you were a child.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I was extensively trained by some of the most incredible people, my colleagues, and it wasn't easy. They were not easy on us. And, I like a challenge. So I knew it wasn't going to be a smooth sailing road, and I study every single day. I make sure I set aside an hour in between working out and in between everything else to try and just study, learn something new. My job is
book study
or literature, or find a paper, or just do a little bit more investigating about something, and
proper theory study.
And I think just keep on top of it all. And I think that's why I've made it.
And your enthusiasm, I think, probably helps quite a lot as well. And your smile.
Get rather excited out there.
Well, you got to. I mean, it's really exciting stuff. Like, you're out there with these amazing animals, like, every day.
I get a little bit emotional sometimes. I need to stop that. I cried when I found the hyena cubs for the first time live. Yeah.
What was it like this morning? I tried to watch bits of it this morning. It seemed like you didn't have the most active one on your drive. But yesterday maybe was more something, right?
Yesterday was incredible,
Yeah.
spending it with those two leopards. I mean, yesterday morning, because we know this leopardess so well, and she's done incredibly well at raising her son. And just, I mean, it's one thing seeing a leopard, but when you see two together, this blur of spots
Yeah.
and the interaction, oh, it's really incredible. Yesterday was a great day. And this morning, yeah, I had a bit of a challenging one.
Yeah. You had a few
I
bugs and
mean,
stuff.
yeah, I love my
You
insects.
did have a leopard though, still though, didn't you?
I did, but it was just in the trickiest, we bash through bush, we get stuck in holes, we break our cars. Yeah, it's not
You
easy.
got stuck yesterday on a log as well. Was it yesterday, or was I watching one of your old clips? I'm trying to remember. Maybe it was an old clip where you got stuck on a log and you kept trying to get it off. You kept stalling, and in the end, we're going to go over to somebody else on the other side of while I try and drive out of this. And yeah, I think it was an old one now I think about it, because I don't think it
Probably.
was
I've been
David.
rescued a few times, and my worst one, we were following this male leopard. He's actually one of my favorites. He's an old male leopard called Tingana. I love him so much. And we were, following, bumping through, and we lost him. And then I got stuck and my car would not go any further. So we had to get rescued, which was really embarrassing. I don't want to get rescued. And as we were driving along, we were free. I'm all happy, we're not stuck anymore. My cameraman said, "Lauren, do you not realize that you're missing a door?" What? And the one door that we do have, I turned around and it's gone. I'd
No.
completely wiped off the door and not even realized. So yeah, those cars have been through a lot. A lot.
Yeah, that was actually the one I saw as well, because I remember another video was called "Looking for Tingala" or something like that. So you did have to get rescued. So at least I've got the closure that I needed from that from that adventure.
Anytime.
That's amazing though. I mean, yeah, I could honestly talk about just your day to day for ages. I could just talk about your everyday experiences, because it must be, yeah, just crazy. Like, we haven't even talked about monkeys or anything yet. Like,
yeah,
must
the
be
monkey stole my tooth. I had a wisdom tooth removed last week. It was all
Yeah.
swollen, and
Oh yeah, because you were going to the dentist in
awful.
Johannesburg.
Yes, and I pulled it out, and I thought I'm going to keep this. Just I've got an elephant's tooth, and I've got a warthog. I was just going to do a nice comparison for everyone, just to see teeth generally
Yeah,
across the board. And
nice.
the monkey stole my tooth. I don't even know what they're going to do with it.
How did this happen, please?
I have a big box in the car, and it's got all my books and my binos and my lipstick and my sun cream, and it's got everything inside it. And the monkeys just love it. Sometimes I accidentally forget bits and bobs of fruits and nuts in there. So they just have the best time in this box. So I lock it, but
Yeah.
they figured out how to open the lock.
No.
And that my tooth was inside, and they just took it.
How did they figure out how to open the lock? How technical is this lock?
It's not really those big plastic boxes with the latch, like
Oh, like a latch.
and they've obviously figured to unclip it. So
Nice.
yeah, the monkeys terrorize us here. They really do.
Good on the monkeys. I hope they didn't eat the tooth though. I don't know.
Oh, I feel sad.
What would they have done with it? Maybe one of them's just got it in like his prized possession of like human teeth. This is
Wearing it
this
as
is
a
my
necklace.
tells everybody he killed the person.
Very
Yeah,
possibly. Who knows?
That's amazing.
Yeah, they wait. Yeah, they wait for us to terrorize us every day. They're a lot of trouble. These monkeys.
That's brilliant. So look, again, like I said, I could talk to you about your daily life in the bush forever, but let's jump back to your WWF thing. When did you actually film that? So it's the search for the Ethiopian wolf, right? The super rare, going extinct Ethiopian wolf. When did you go out there and do it? Because it was only released a couple of weeks ago.
It's exactly a year now. Yeah, exactly a year ago. I got a reminder, Facebook memory, and I thought, oh goodness, I was in Ethiopia a year ago. And it was Javi and I, and we just decided to go on vacation. And I think, he fancied going to Zanzibar and drinking gin on the beach. And I thought, no, let's go on an adventure, let's do something really crazy that no one's done. Let's go and look for the Ethiopian wolf. I mean, there's only 500 left, if that. And they're the cousin, obviously, of the African wild dogs. So I thought, let's go and let's just take our cameras and film. And if we see cool stuff, we see cool stuff. If we don't, we don't. And we just went on this last minute incredible adventure to Ethiopia. We met the most amazing people, and we saw the wolf, and we just filmed it. And it wasn't until we actually came back that WWF approached us. And we said, hey, we've actually got some really cool footage if you're interested. And it just really organically happened. So now Davi and I are ambassadors for WWF. We've got some projects lined up with them. And it's just amazing to be an ambassador of such a great organization and to show people the wolf. I mean, most people say, Ethiopian wolf, what is that? And when you see it, they're so beautiful.
Yeah. They look like a pedigree dog, they're just amazingly.
Or a fox.
Yeah. Like I can see little characteristics that I recognize from my dog. I'm like, oh yeah, the way he moves and stuff. It's just they are amazing.
They are so amazing. And I feel really lucky. And I just thought, Davi and I had this platform. We have a bit of a following, and, we should educate people about the Ethiopian wolf.
Absolutely.
On my safari drives, I try to talk about all different kinds of things, the ocean and Ethiopian wolf, and just to, bring in different knowledge from different areas.
Yesterday, you mentioned a sea cucumber on your live thing. And at the same moment, I had that on the TV. This was yesterday because I was doing a bit of like consuming your stuff. And so it's fresh. And I was watching on my iPad a video of you doing your DiveLive talking about a sea cucumber. And so I had it paused with a sea cucumber on the screen while you're talking about a sea cucumber in the middle of the African bush. I was like, what? This is really surreal. I had to kind of second double. I was just completely thrown off.
Yeah, I like to I'm just doing little riddles right now on any kind of animal, because I think the main thing I have learned over my career from being in Fiji, the Maldives, Sri Lanka, Africa, from being wherever I've worked, is connectivity. So you get if you work as a marine biologist or a dive master in the Maldives, you're very much focused on the Maldives tropical reef ecosystem. That's how you can think about the reef and the coral and the Maldives. You forget that that's actually connected all the way up to Sri Lanka, and the animals migrate and the animals move and the ocean currents move. We humans we just box things, we just think of this instead of realizing that this ecosystem actually impacts on this ecosystem, which then has an impact on this ecosystem. And I think that's been my biggest lesson, is we need to educate people more about connectivity. So if our oceans die, that really will affect our land ecosystems. Our land ecosystems will start to die as well. But it's hard for people to visualize that. It's hard for people to understand, why would the ocean affect the African bush? But it really, really does. And I think since that's been my biggest lesson, that I just now try to connect the dots with people. It's not just looking at a lion.
It's super important.
Yeah, it's super important. You've got to sort of draw the dots, relations, evolution, and just bring it all together. And I guess that's what I was trying to do with my sea cucumber.
It was great though. It was a great moment. I was so confused. I was like, what's going on?
But were you listening to the actual facts though? Because that'll have been an even better moment.
I was trying to kind of listen to both. I'm like pausing one when you talk on a TV. I was like pressing, turning it up, and then pausing the other. It was a bit all over the place. But have you got any amazing sea cucumber facts you want to share? I heard there was like thousands of species of sea cucumber, right? Which is
there
crazy
are thousands of species, but their anatomy is very unusual, shall we say. I went deep into their anatomy last night.
Yeah.
I like to just throw a little something in there that'll shock people sitting at home. The shock factor.
Yeah, they are weird.
Yeah, a lot of people don't even know they exist.
There are so many animals you don't know. I also watched you find potentially a new species of fish on DiveLive, talking of people not knowing they exist. Do you remember you were filming like the little red guy, multicolored guy? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember. Oh God, that was so long ago. Yeah, we also discovered something here. We found nests of chicks But then we realized that as we were filming and watching and trying to get really good footage, that it wasn't the parents or even the same species that was feeding them. So it's a completely different
No
species of
way.
bird that was coming to this nest to feed the chicks that were not their own. And it just
Wow.
became this incredible story. And it's really not been filmed. It's not been documented before. So, you know, we capture lots of things that maybe science or, you know, research is not aware of. And
Yeah.
I think that's super cool.
Because there must be a lot of that. So what do you think that was? Is that a case of like some young babies, their provider dies or vanishes, and then another species you think steps up to the plate and says, we're not going
we got to the bottom of it. So the parents were there as the helmet shrikes. The helmet shrikes are the ones that had the chicks. But then the chin spot batis were coming to feed. And what was actually happening was the chin spot batis had their own nest, maybe 7 meters away.
Right.
And they're saying that it's a biological urge, that they are hearing the chicks cry of another species, and it's this innate drive to just feed them. They're in this sort of maternal and paternal instincts of feeding their own chicks. So when they realize that there are other chicks nearby that are hungry, it's sort of a drive to feed them, which is just mind-blowing.
Yeah. That's
completely. So, you know, it's just small things like that that just like is
animals
epic.
are so much nicer than people, aren't they? Wow. Like
Far nicer.
That's amazing. In terms, like, so yeah, we're talking about people and animals, and tell me, this is like slightly darker and, you know, slightly more depressing, but in terms of the human impact on animals and the environment and the climate, if you have, and what you have witnessed firsthand, like, can you tell me a bit about that?
Out here, not so much. But I guess this is quite a controversial topic. But just 2 weeks ago now, maybe 3 weeks ago, one of our male leopards was shot.
Ooh.
And that was a really hard pill to swallow for all of us. His name was Hukamuri, and he's a great, iconic, amazing leopard who I have had incredible moments with. You know, a lot of my fondest memories involve Hukamuri.
Yeah.
And I guess this scenario was a human-wildlife conflict. So he escaped the perimeter where he's supposed not escape. He walked out of the perimeter. He went way out of his territory because he was being pressurized by other males. He's weak. And he ended up sort of coming to a village, very, very small local village. And he's really habituated around humans, actually, but he was eating their livestock. And it became, they tried to catch him many, many times and it wasn't working. The woman whose livestock he was eating, she has nothing else. She has nothing. Her livelihood is her livestock. It's a very developing country here. There's lots of areas that are very poor and rural, and that was her life. And this male leopard is attacking her livestock. She also has young children.
Yeah.
She has to protect her children. And in the end, he was shot. It was controlled. It was done by the correct body, but this leopard was posing a threat. So it created a social media storm. People are sad. We've just lost one of our male leopards. It's heartbreaking. I shed a tear or two. I did a tribute to him. I said a poem for him. It was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But it also opened the doors, because we spoke about it on WildEarth, to people all around the world, sitting on the sofa in America, or you in France, or my family in Scotland, to conservation's not just conserving animals. It's like my degree. You've got politics to think about. You've got people to think about. You've got money, economics to think about. There are so many sort of dimensions to conservation. And I think that's what people forget. And it's not easy in any part of the world. Human-wildlife conflict is a huge issue. It's just not spoken about so often. But in Africa, it's Africa. You know, the human-wildlife conflict is so rife and it happens every single day. And although I miss this leopard and I think about him, and he was such an epic being to be around, and I wish that hadn't happened, I also feel that it's opened the doors, it's opened people's eyes to the reality. You know, you may be sitting in England right now drinking tea. This is Africa. You know, there are wild animals, top apex predators, elephants larger than your house, next to people's lives, next to small little villages who don't have what some people around the world have. And although there's so many different sides to the coin, I'm obviously not going to dive deep into it, but I think it just opened people's eyes into the reality of what we're facing here. And I just think the message that should be taken from this awful incident is that people think conservation is conserving wildlife, let's protect the animals, but there's so much more to think about, from governance to environmental factors, and I think conservation is not easy. There's people out there putting themselves on the front line to save animals' lives, and I think they should be recognized more, way more than these Hollywood actors and these footballers. We need to recognize these people that are putting their lives on the line, these anti-poachers, these people that are going out to rescue and dehorn rhinos and wildlife vets. They're really not recognized for the incredible work that they do. And I think this situation is just, although there was a lot of emotion surrounding it and there was a lot of false information put on social media, I think it has opened people's eyes to what really goes on and how we need to improve, we need to be better, but there's not always the resources available. So, I mean, that only happened 3 weeks ago. It's still quite raw, but obviously it impacted us here at WildEarth heavily because he was a main character of ours and he captured so many people's hearts. But at the end of the day, people's lives were at risk, young children's life were at risk.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing from the sounds of that one. I mean, so there's a lot to unpackage there. I mean, conservation is definitely something I want to talk to you a lot more about. We didn't really get the time today to go into it much, but next time that would be great to talk more about just that in general. I know it's a huge topic and very, intricate. So I think that deserves a bit more time. But in terms of that specific, thing that happened there with that leopard, it's horrible. And it's easy, obviously, for social media to jump and people on there to jump and say, you know what, there's an asshole with a gun, they shouldn't be shooting, whatever, it's an animal, he's just an animal, but at the end of the day, it feels like the way you just described it to me, even in just a couple of minutes, it's like a blameless almost, one of those horrible situations where it's just, it can be blamed on the expansion of humanity or whatever it can be blamed, but in terms of the individuals involved, the leopard's hungry, he's got an easy kind of few meals there. Why is he not going to eat it? There's no reason. There's literally no reason. He's got no paperwork saying don't eat the farm animals. Maybe it's an unwritten rule of the leopards that they say let's try and avoid it, but either way, he's eating his food. And then the human, she's trying to protect her family, she's trying to protect her livelihood, like you said. And it's like there's nobody you can blame there. There's nobody at fault in a way. I mean, it's just one of those, like you said, heartbreaking, sad. Yeah,
professionals in the industry who really, whipped up a media storm, and that was the first thing that went wrong. But you've got to just listen to the people on the ground, listen to the people that are here and the people that have to go through this torment every day. Although this leopard was shot, trust me, this happens a lot more regularly than people realize, but it's just not posted about. And it is a problem. Human wildlife conflict is a huge problem across the board, especially in Africa.
Yeah.
And it's what solutions will have to come, but it's a work in progress, I really hope it just opened people's eyes to understanding the challenges. I get a lot of messages from young people, I want to be in conservation like you, it looks so magical. And yes, it is magical, but if you're on the front line like myself, you have to make sure you make a difference. You have to make sure you do the job and talk about these things and explain these things and open people's eyes to that, get the right message across. It's not all about sitting there with your leopard and, having a jolly good time. You've got a job to do. And I see my job is reaching people, all ages, all nationalities, to try and get those messages across, whether you like it or not, whether you want to hear it or not. It's the reality at the end of the day. It's the world we live in.
And I think you're doing an amazing job of it. I think if you keep doing what you're doing and just keep the levels of enthusiasm of how much time you put into it, how much of your life you give to it, I think you're going to, you could be the future David Attenborough, in 50 years, 60 years, or however old he is, 100 years, the man is infinite.
Yes, he's very old.
but yeah, you're on a really amazing path with it's the new way of doing it. You know, when David Attenborough was younger, TV was just, I guess, becoming a thing. And now, kind of the age that you've been doing it from, you're following with the internet, I guess. You're kind of...
new age.
It's the new way of doing it. Like these days, you don't need to follow a strict career path. Well, if I want to be David Attenborough, I have to go and like sweet talk a load of people at the BBC and become friends with them and go and like, you know, have super high quality camera people follow me out there, and you're doing it. You're on the path, and it's amazing.
You've just got to sometimes, you know, even in Maldives, you asked about examples, and this is just a quick example, but Maldives is also a developing country. It's very poor. They don't have fresh running water. It's an island nation. There's 1,200 islands. They are surrounded by ocean. On the equator, they have nothing. Their islands are powered by generators, and they drink bottled water because they don't have any other source than collecting rainwater. And you have to remember that, you know, and they eat turtle. Now, the turtles over there are listed by IUCN as endangered. And when I first went over there, I was much younger, and it was a shock. You know, I'm working here to protect the turtles, and these guys are fishing them and eating them, and they cut the plastron, the underside of the shell, and open the turtle up while she's alive. And they want her eggs. They take all the eggs from inside of her, and they also eventually kill her, of course, and they eat the meat as well as all sorts of other fatty bits. And it's horrifying to think about it, but then what is different from eating a turtle to eating other animals? And I had to take a step back, away from my pain, away from my wanting to say, no, don't do this, to realizing that they have eaten turtles forever. Way back in the day, when there wasn't these restaurants on the mainland, when there wasn't exports and imports and big ships coming in and tourism.
And awareness of there's not many, you know, and like things like that. It was just normal, I guess, you know, for a long time, cultural, and it's grown into it. But yeah, you're right. If you look at ours and you look at things like, I can't think of any good example for the UK, but I know in France, things like foie gras and things like that are still super, super popular. And it's the same kind of thing where the animal is forced to be into unpleasant conditions. I mean, unpleasant's a nice way of saying it as well, isn't it? But that's another thing we should talk more about, you know, is like vegetarianism, veganism, eating meat, consuming meat, because I'm really interested in that. I do eat meat, but I'm very aware of the fact I eat meat, if you know what I mean. I'm very conscious of the fact I should cut down. Like, I already probably, me and my girlfriend, probably less than the average. But we're very conscious of, like, you know, that we should be still reducing.
Enough, you know,
I mean, if everybody could do that, if everybody could just be conscious of it, you know, and just try and take it down to whatever is necessary, whether it's a couple of not necessary because obviously you're surviving without meat, but whatever's necessary for them, whether it be a couple of meals of meat a week, or, you know, just one meal a day instead of 2 or 3 with meat, whatever it might be. Like, everybody could do their own thing.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I mean, I just try to do my own thing, you know, not press it on anyone. I think everyone can make their own choices and their own differences, you know, and even if it starts small, and like that Maldives example, that's when I realized, who am I to come to the Maldives and tell them, you know, it needs to be a work in progress. It needs to be education. Start with the younger generation and explain, you know, turtles are endangered, and it's, you know, let's not eat them, and these are the alternatives. And it's progress. And I mean, I rescued so many turtles from fishing lines and from nets and from all sorts of scenarios, risking my life, you know, going underwater to rescue them. And I think everyone can only do their bit, and you have to always understand where you are and the culture and the history of the place that you're in before you come in with your sort of, you know, conservation approach. And that was a big lesson for me back then.
Yeah. And I think everybody also needs to understand that just improving the little things by like 1%, you know, if everybody just tries to do a little bit, just even cut out one meal of meat per week, right? And buy one less thing that comes in a non-recyclable plastic container a week.
Yeah.
Just add these little things up. And if everybody, or even 60% of people do that, the difference on a worldwide scale. That's how a difference is made. It can't be made from just you and just me doing what, not that I do anything compared to you, but just a couple of individuals doing everything. It needs to be a majority of people doing, even if it's a little thing, you know, because it's not a lot we'd have to do individually. But it's also, then you get into the problem with it's also a lot of big corporations and government stuff and political stuff, right?
Huge problem.
It goes deep.
But you know, there's a lot of people out there that you can follow on Instagram or whatever, and they really are trying their best, you know, and I think we should follow these people. And there's even some celebrities now who are using their status as a celebrity to bring light to scenarios. And that, you know, that's what I admire, you know.
Yeah, like Leonardo DiCaprio is one of them, I think.
Oh, Leo. Yeah. I have met Leo.
You've met Leo?
I took Leo snorkeling.
Really? Wow. Yes. How was that? Because where was that as well? Was that
in the Maldives? I took lots of. Yeah, you're not supposed to talk about her name
because he's familiar with the beach.
Well, you would think so, but he wore a full face mask and a life jacket. It's possibly why he drowned in Titanic. You know.
Not much of a swimmer. Not a natural.
Not much of a swimmer, but yeah, no. I met a lot of people who are also interested and really try to do their best as well. The stories I could tell.
Yeah, I bet. Well, next time when you're in the bush, you know, your life flashing before your eyes.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, as I keep saying, there's so much more I'd like to talk about. There's so many topics we could go into. Like, I haven't got into half of the stuff, probably not even half of the stuff I wanted to talk about. But you know what? We can do this again, right? We're both humans. You want to get the word out. I can't promise that many people are going to listen, but hopefully we're going to be able to make a little difference, even if, you know, it only takes one, right? It only takes the right person. If one person hears this and gets inspired by you, and it goes on to make a difference, then it was worth it.
Exactly. That's why I do what I do. I mean, we're not paid phenomenally well here. We live in complete isolation. I haven't seen my family in a year and a half because of COVID. My brother had twins. They're huge now. I've not seen them grow up. You know, we get rained on, we get sunburned. You know, that they sound like, you know, minor little things, but it's not easy. But I'm committed to just trying to at least just affect one person per drive, you know, where one person thinks, I didn't know that, or that's a new perspective. And, you know, I get a lot of messages saying, Lauren, I used to hate hyenas and now I love them. And for me, that means that I've done my job. You know, now people are into these animals, and that means that I've done it.
Yeah, you know? You're definitely doing it. You definitely just keep doing it. How can anybody hate a hyena though? They're always laughing. You just listen to their happiness.
They have a terrible reputation.
No, they
terrible reputation. They do, and they're just incredible. They, you know, one of them lives in camp, and he's stolen everything for me. It's like a battle. You know, he takes my shoes and he hides them. I bring my shoes back. It's like a game we play, you know. And one morning, Davi was on duty and I was off, so obviously I'm going to sleep in and enjoy a long lie in peace. And I just hear this noise and I'm thinking, I woke up thinking, what is that noise? Davi's not here. And it keeps going. It's very, very loud. So we have sliding glass doors. So I just opened the curtain and there's one of the hyenas that I know very well just snoozing on my porch, letting off some gas. And it was this incredible noise that was just continuous. And yeah, it woke me up and he's just sleeping quite happily on my porch.
What do you think he would do if you opened the door and were like, hey, buddy? It's like if you just got his attention
and go back to sleep.
He's not going to attack you. He's not going to be like, I'm going to try and go in that flat and see if I can find some, you know, munchies.
No. He's very familiar with us all. The hyenas are in our camp probably every single night.
Oh, wow. But you're still conscious of the fact he's wild, right? And you're still that little bit of... You don't go and cuddle. You don't go lie down next to him and stroke him.
No, definitely not. He smells... I can't even begin to describe how hyenas smell.
Does he smell as bad as the terrapin that you caught? Because you kept going on about how bad that smelled. Saved. there was a terrapin caught in some like thorns and like on a fallen tree, and you went up to it and climbed along the log.
Oh yes, yes. Goodness, I forgot about that. That was awful. I mean, I'm used to fishy, oceanic, earthy.
I felt like I could
smells,
smell it through the camera, because you just said it so many times how bad it was. So I was like, oh no.
Yeah, that was terrible. But I rescued him. I mean, he swam away.
You did rescue him, yeah. As you said at the time, very ungraceful plop into the water, but yeah, it was still nice. It was a nice moment.
Yeah, I mean, you're not supposed to intervene, really. We've had some scenarios. That's another issue here. At what level do you intervene? In the Masai Mara,
that must be hard.
Policy, where if it's human induced, it's kind of our policy as well. You know, if you hit an animal with your car, which I don't believe has ever happened here, but it's very common in the Masai Mara. A snare, a wound, a bullet, anything that's happened from human activity, from human presence in this area, then you fix it.
Yeah, I completely think that's a great policy.
Yeah, and Swazi, the hyena, actually got caught with a wire around his neck. So we created this huge mission. Oh my goodness, it went on for days. And we got him. I managed to get him. We darted him. And we removed the wire because we don't know where the wire came from, but it's a human. And this is the wire, and it's now turned into a lovely bracelet for myself.
Oh, wow. That's super cool. No way.
So cool. There's an organization
I love it.
called Down to the Wire, and they do it.
Yeah.
So, you know, small little organizations like this, you need to support, and I never take this off. This came from a hyena.
So you're going to wear that for the next 50 years, but when you are David Attenborough of the future, you can auction that. And that's, think how much money that's going to make when you're 90.
That is a very good idea.
So just show it in every interview, and every time you're on just my bracelet that was around a hyena's neck, and then one day
we're going to make money from this.
To hyenas.
The company that made it, you know, they take wires from everything and they sell them, and it's an amazing company, and they're doing their own part for conservation, you know, taking the wires and repurposing them.
I love it. It's recycling. It's proper recycling, right? It's true recycling.
Upcycling, I guess.
Well, yeah, I guess it's that. Yeah, it's true. That's true. Yeah. Hey, so look, I'm very conscious of potentially even delaying your drive this afternoon. So let me just ask you one last question, and no pressure to give me a super, philosophical answer. However, if you could send out some kind of message to pretty much everybody out there, everybody in the world, if it was a thing, right? If everybody had a phone, or if everybody had a way of seeing in the clouds, a message in the clouds, what would you say? Just into like an idea of some things you could say to people. This doesn't have to be your exhaustive answer.
Sure. I think I would send a general message to everyone. Just to remind, I think we live in a very harsh world, especially with social media. I've received death threats. I've been trolled. I've had the most awful things happen just for being on WildEarth. And I think just a little bit of positivity goes a long way, a little bit of kindness. And I think I would just remind everyone, especially the younger generation, we have already touched on this, but you really can make a difference, And it doesn't necessarily involve money, even if you've got no money. It's not all about making donations to these bodies. It's just about spreading awareness, or maybe educating your younger brother, or maybe educating your friend, or stopping your mom from doing that awful habit that she's got that's destroying the environment. Everyone can make a difference. And I think we forget that. We really, really do. And it's never going to be easy. And I wish someone told me that when I was younger. I just thought life was great, and I was partying at uni, and I was having the best time, but life is not easy. And I think you will get there in the end. Passion, persevere with your passion, and you will absolutely get there. I think I would send a separate message in the cloud to females, because a lot of the industries that I have worked in are very masculine, they're very male dominated, and there's nothing wrong with that, absolutely not. But I think it puts females off being conservationists. And that's why I try to retain my girliness. I wear my nail polish and I will wear my jewelry, and it's not because I'm trying to prove a point. It's just, why should I go into an industry that's particularly male dominated and lose my femininity? So I guess for the females I would send a message to say, don't let that deter you. You be who you are as a female. If you're a really girly girl, then be a girly girl. If you're not a girly girl, then that's also cool. Don't be a girly girl, but don't let the sort of, even the diving industry, the guiding industry is just very male dominated. It's just, that's the way it is. And not that males are bad, but I can change my own tires in those Jeeps. I change those tires. I follow those animals. I can do everything the boys do. And I think just don't let that deter you, because a lot of females, I think, they want to go into conservation, but they don't want to wear boy clothes and be masculine. And I would just encourage girls, we need more girl power out there. That's why I continue to just be me. I've had a lot of abuse for it. Why do you wear nail polish on drive? Because it's me, and I'm not going to change just to fit in with an industry. So to cut a long story short, I just want to remind the girls out there, especially the young ones, that you can be anything you want to be, and you don't have to lose your own individuality.
Yeah, that's powerful, and I love it. It's a really amazing couple of messages there. But yeah, it's totally true. Just be who you are, and you can still do whatever you want, right? You can be a completely feminine male and be amazing at rugby. You can be a completely masculine or feminine woman and be involved in conservation. You can be wearing a dress if you want and lie down. I mean, it would have to be a changed dress, tweaked dress to work in the bush, but you can wear a dress in the bush and crawl through the manure if that's how you want to roll.
Whatever you want to do, Just don't be scared, don't hold back. And I think too many people do hold back, and we shouldn't. We should all respect one another, support one another, not send each other death threats or bully each other online. I mean, it's a crazy world that we live in, and it got me very down for a while, the bullying I was receiving, and it affects people's mental health, and it's one of the biggest factors of suicide across the world now, online bullying. And I think the human race needs to slap ourselves and stop this.
Absolutely.
It's disgusting. And without my colleagues, I was ready to give up.
Yeah.
It wasn't for my colleagues who picked me up and supported me. It's why I'm still here today. So I think everyone just needs to encourage one another. And if, like you said, if you're a really feminine guy, then so what? Do what you want to do. If you're just a little bit different, just retain onto your individuality, and you'll still get there. Yeah,
you don't need to feel pressure to be put into a box and all this kind of thing. You are exactly what you are, and you can do exactly what you want to do, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise, right? It's not like the pink bedroom, which means you have to do either you have to be a vet, or you have to be this, or a drama teacher. There's no, just do it. Just do what you want.
And although I'm here, like, the path hasn't been easy. I've had some, huge dips in my ride of life. And it's not that we need to talk about them, but it's just a reminder that it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
And nobody said it was ever going to be easy, but don't give up, and you'll get there. Everyone will get there.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. Maybe we'll talk about a few more of those next time, your dips. And I definitely want to talk about, like, the abuse you face, because I would never even I didn't even enter my brain that you might have faced abuse online, because I know that's a big thing, people facing abuse online and stuff, and online bullying. But I never would have thought in my wildest dreams that you, this like happy, smiley face of, African wildlife and conserving nature and everything, would get abused. Who's abusing you? Like,
it was very severe. It was very severe. It's calmed down now, and I'm a lot stronger now. But it was very severe, and it impacted me heavily.
It's messed up.
So without Davi and my colleagues, I probably would have given up. So it's just a reminder out there to everyone,
Yeah, everyone feels like giving up. I mean, that's sad. I guess it was a very small minority, but either way, like, don't let those people affect you if you can avoid
just a small act of kindness per day, pay it forward. It's a great movie, and we need to instill more of that in our life, just one small act. Thank you so much. My drive's about to start in half an hour, so I'm going to go and get ready.
I'm going to let you go, absolutely, because I'm going to go and put it on the TV now and watch you live on YouTube. Thanks again, Lauren, and you do you. You keep doing what you're doing. It's amazing. You're really making a difference.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Lauren. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to that conversation with Lauren Arthur. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and share it with a friend. If you want to follow Lauren or this podcast, all social media and website links are in the description. Thank you, Lauren, for your time and conversation. Thank you, Harmony, for turning this chat into an actual episode. Be nice, be happy, be cool.